Testing. Okay, good evening and welcome to everybody. It's time, and I would like people to take their chairs so we can start this special meeting of Surbiton Neighbourhood Committee at Glenmore House on time. A particular warm welcome to those members of publics with us tonight. I'm Councillor Peter Hurlinger, and I'm chairing the meeting tonight as Councillor Tom Reever sent his apologies. In the event of emergency and the sounding of an alarm, the emergency evacuation procedure is to leave the hall by the fire exit, that's the one behind you, and congregate in the parking lot. Anybody requiring assistance should remain in their seats and you'll be assisted from the building. Anybody who wishes to follow the agenda from their tablet or smartphone can do so by going to the council website and following the links to your council and then on to the council's meeting calendar. This is a live broadcast, so the meeting is being filmed for live broadcast on the council's YouTube channel, and an archive version will be available to view on the channel after the meeting finishes. The broadcast will be suspended during any adjournments in proceedings, and if the committee resolves to consider information as exempt business. Members are reminded the microphones must be switched on and spoken into clearly for the broadcast. Can everybody present please ensure that their mobile phones are either switched off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. I will now start by getting other members to introduce themselves. So starting from my extreme left.
I'm not the extreme left, but I'm Andrew Waldridge of Tolworth. Hello.
Peter Allen, Tolworth Ward.
Hi, sorry for the pause, Chair. Councillor Ian Manders, Alexandra Ward.
Good evening, Councillor Anita Sharper from Berrylands Ward.
Councillor Amy Ali Khan for Surbiton Hill Ward.
Good evening, Councillor Alison Holt, Surbiton Hill Ward.
Hi, Liz Green from St Mark's and Seething Wells Ward.
Who?
Hello, good evening. Jorgen Adam from St Mark's and Seething Wells. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. The first agenda item is public questions. We have a period of no more than 30 minutes for questions on matters relevant to the committee. We like to encourage questions to be submitted in advance so that officers have an opportunity to answer them, though this is absolutely not necessary. Questions directly related to the agenda items will be dealt with at the beginning of the respective agenda items to facilitate members' debates. Therefore, questions and comments specifically on the Tolworth area healthy street schemes from Liz Mitchell, Alex Oakes, Catherine Yates, Simon Laycott, Rob. I pronounce your name incorrectly. Apologies, Rob Heidegger, Helen Miller, and those on Browns Road area parking review from Josephine Lawrence, and her husband will be handled later. In this part that we now go to, questions from 3 residents we dealt with. I will invite each to ask one question. You'll be given the opportunity to ask a supplementary if appropriate. Any subsequent questions you may have will be considered only after all other residents have had their opportunity to ask their first question if time allows. To allow your residents the opportunity to ask at least one question, please keep your question under 2 minutes and be as concise as possible. If you wish to preface the question with a statement, be brief and up to the point. Herman, who's sort of sitting next to me, will inform you when 30 seconds are left and also when time is up. So the first question we have is from Liz Mitchell.
Good evening, councillors. When the A243 Healthy Streets program was brought to both south of the Borough and Surbiton Neighbourhood Committee, as the boundary was along Thornhill Road, they continued to make decisions and did not refer decisions making to the Place Committee. This was despite the powers of the neighbourhood committees clearly stating that one neighbourhood committee could not make decisions that positively or negatively affected another neighbourhood committee. In such situations, the guidelines said that matters should go to the Place Committee. Yet South of the Borough implemented the bollard on Tolworth Road instead of going to Place Committee to get a decision on the whole scheme. The matter should have gone to Place. Then when the removal of the bollard was under decision again, it was not taken to Place. This decision had, and I quote, borough-wide implications because it had the potential to set the precedent for LTNs across the borough. But again, this was not taken to Place Committee. So why is there one process for one Healthy Streets program, i.e. Berrylands, and not the same for the other?
Thank you for your question. All decisions taken were taken by what was considered the most relevant committee at the time. The same will apply in relation to Berrylands.
Don't see how that actually answers the question.
Is that your supplementary question?
No, my supplementary question is the removal of the bollard and not progressing with the whole A243 scheme had, quote, borough-wide implications. You were setting the precedent for other LTNs to be challenged across the borough, as we've seen from the last few meetings. So why, you say it was the correct decision-making body at the time, why is there one rule for one and one for the other? Because they were very, very similar. It was actually against the Neighbourhood Committee powers at the time, and yet the decision was taken not to take it to Place. And now, 2 years later, this is what we've got.
Thank you for your supplementary question. I'll just repeat that the decision-making was taken at the committee that was considered to be the most relevant committee to make that decision at that time. Is Catherine Yates the next question?
Evening, everybody. Please, can you tell us why you are choosing not to engage road reps? You've not listened to them or directly consulted with them on this consultation, which has proven to be a waste of time, money, and sadly continues to erode residents' confidence that you are committed to reducing the through traffic and the rat running that we face every day. Do you agree this was avoidable by simply engaging with road reps to canvass their streets for their views?
The council has engaged either through road reps or with the whole community on various stages. I believe the Tolworth ward councillors who've engaged, who have the greatest day-to-day knowledge and understanding of sort of the issues at Tolworth, may have something to add to that.
I'm happy, yeah. Hi, evening, hi. Yeah, I'm happy very much to sort of give you a dialogue on this. As you know, we have been around quite a lot, going up and down streets. So I've written something, and it will be short, Chair, but hopefully with a great deal of clarity to that question. You're not a street rep, which I would love you to be. I would really love you to be a street rep for your road. You are, Liz, a street rep for your road. You have both have a very powerful voice. As street representatives, your insights are incredibly valuable to us, providing a crucial link to the specific needs and concerns of your streets. It's important, though, to remember that our responsibility extends across the entire ward, ensuring that diverse voices and needs of our broader community inform our decisions. While we do rely on localised knowledge, our approach to community engagement aims to capture a wide array of perspectives. This ensures that our decisions are not influenced, and forgive me for saying this, by any single viewpoint or agenda, but rather reflects the collective will and best interest of the entire community. We are committed, we are very much committed here to a democratic process where everyone's voice can be heard And you can see that with regard to the talk portal, our community outreach, the letters, huge volumes of engagement that we've done. So we have to balance the specific input from street representatives with broader community feedback, which is essential. This approach allows us to make decisions that are truly representative of our community's collective needs. Thank you.
Have you got a supplementary?
Thank you very much. So recently, very recently, councillors came to speak with the residents on their doorsteps. Tay, I spoke to you and you're aware of that, I know. And I'm aware you received some very strong feedback on the lack of trust and commitment to a real solution to the problem we face with through traffic, rat running, and unfortunately the pollution we're exposed to as a result of that. So my question is, how are you going to address the issue of mistrust and no confidence?
Councillor Woodridge, Councillor Woodridge, Councillor Woodridge, as you used to represent the thousands of residents in the Tolworth ward, perhaps you're best placed to answer that.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, look, we did do. This wasn't the only time we've been up and down Thornhill and Tolworth Road. And depending upon where we engage, quite rightly, there is, I remember having an engagement with one lady on Tolworth Road, which will be memorable for me. And she was very strong and a very powerful advocate. But you're living close to... Unfortunately, you are living close to the A3, and we're all, even myself, are familiar with the challenges it can bring. But the community is still there. It's still thriving. It's a nice place to live. It's thriving. People are selling their properties. People are buying the properties, and I really truly acknowledge the complexities of trying to manage that traffic. And I always will. I will continue to be committed to make some improvements for it. But it's just desperately difficult everywhere. And I hope that's an unsatisfactory answer, but my answer. Thank you.
I now call upon Simon Laycock.
Is it on?
My question relates to a specific aspect of the LTN and measures that are being proposed or not proposed in the documents submitted yesterday. So would you rather I ask the question in the agenda item?
I think sort of that we prefer, if you're going to talk about a specific agenda item, that you do that when we get to the agenda item. We're happy to take questions that aren't totally about this agenda item. Happy for you to wait until the agenda item.
This is going to be part of the agenda discussion, I think. So I don't want to be cut off now. Okay. I'll ask it later.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We are agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Can I? My clerk hasn't got your name, so for the record, could I?
It's standing in for Alex, and it's David.
Yeah, David Yates. Okay. Standing in for Alex.
Thank you for identifying yourself. Would you like to ask a question?
Thank you. We hear lots of talk about healthy streets, and the recent round of consultation for Tolworth Ward was centred around making the streets safer. Using a healthy streets approach, some of the key measures are roads which are easier to cross, not too noisy, people feel safe, and clean air. We petitioned RBK to implement a coach ban on Thornhill and Tolworth roads. Removing coaches would make the roads easier to cross, feel less noisy, and cleaner. Why then did RBK refuse this petition?
The officer's reply to the petition was in the February agenda pack towards the end, and essentially the data showed there was not a significant issue with the number of coaches. which were identified at about around 1 an hour throughout the day, it would have been a disproportionate use of resources to introduce the ban. You've got a supplementary?
Yes. Surely this clearly sends a message to residents that RBK are not interested in doing anything about through traffic, nor does it follow the Healthy Streets indicators. True or false?
I will give the reason for my answer first. If you look at the agenda for tonight, between pages A2 to A4, you have a long list of sort of dates and reports relating to the Tolworth area. So my answer would be false. Do you wish to add something, Councillor Wardridge?
Yeah, I'll add something, if I may, some clarification, some, shall we say, meat on the bone. With regard to petition for a coach ban on Thornhill and Tolworth roads, the decision was based on extensive traffic data analysis, and the data showed that the volume of coaches using these roads is relatively low and falls within acceptable limits. I mean, I understand the concerns about those roads, but the data shows that it falls within an acceptable capacity. Now, no capacity is acceptable, and I do get that as well, but that's the benchmark which the officers have driven their data and analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, questioners. We now move on to petitions. Was any notice of submit a petition? You, Tony? I got Tony Viva.
Yeah, he wants to ask a question about Tolworth, but it will be moved to when we discuss the agenda.
It'll be on the agenda item. It will be on the agenda item. It'll be later.
I asked to ask the agenda item, and then I got confirmation that I was registered. Is that true or not?
Okay, let me confirm this.
My clerk's confirming.
Testing. I've got the registration from Mr. Rob Halinger. I was told that this question is about the proposed measures for Thornhill Road. So this is in your email. So this is what I have received from the email from Mr. Rob Halinger. It's a question about the proposed measures for Thornhill Road. So it was decided that this question should be dealt with at the beginning of the agenda item for the Healthy Streets scheme.
I didn't send a message like that. But I'm happy to take the question before the agenda item, as you wish.
Thank you. So we now move to petitions. Have there been any petitions?
Thank you, Chair. No intention to submit petitions received.
We move to item 3, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies received from Councillor Diane White for mayoral duties. Apologies also received from Councillor Jackie Davis, Mariana Gonzalez, and Tom Reeve.
Item 4, declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or any other registrable or non-registrable interest relevant to items on this agenda. Do any members have any declarations of interest? I see Councillor Shaper.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm a resident of Douglas Road, so I wanted to declare a non-registrable interest for the item that's covering the, forgive me, Chair, for the whichever item number that is that we're discussing. Yes, that's correct. So for that item, I will be remaining for the debate and the vote on that item. Thank you.
So we now move to item 5 on the agenda, Tolworth Area Healthy Street Schemes. Members of the committee and meeting participants may refer to Appendix A of the agenda pack and the late material published yesterday, a copy of which is being placed on your table. Do any members need any time to read the late material? No? We'll now invite the officers to speak, after which I will take the public comments. So can I ask Alan Whiting, Team Manager, Engagement and Commissioning, and Eunice Hamed, Principal Engineer, to introduce the report. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chair. On the 20th of September 2023, this committee resolved that removing the band left turn from Fulwood Way into Tolworth and not to proceed with a 7.5 ton restriction and approve a number of zebra crossing to be consulted on Tolworth Road, 2 on Thornhill, 1 in Douglas Road, and on number of double yellow line at corners in order to improve visibility sightline, and ask the resident if they wish to see any benches or trees. So in January 2024, we sent 3,182 letters out. We received 275 responses back, which about 8.64%. The result of that consultation is in the report, as you can see it. We have a number of responses from Tolworth. I'm going to give you the number. From Douglas Road, we received 52 responses. From Tolworth Road, we received 56. From Thornhill, we received 65. So overall, the residents feel they would like to see something to be done, but there is no support for any of the zebra crossing, with the one we propose in Tolworth and Douglas and in Thornhill. And even the school do not support the introduction of the zebra crossing on Douglas Road. In light of this result, I'm asking members not to proceed or approve the zebra crossing on these 3 roads, and for members to approve Annex 5, which has been passed to you as late material, to be approved, and to authorize to give a delegated power to the Assistant Directors of the Highway and Transportation in consultation with the Chair and Vice Chair of this committee and relevant ward members to make changes to this list on number 5 and to inform the resident, of the outcome of this consultation. I'm happy to take any question, Chair. Thank you.
And then move.
Okay. We go now to the public comments. It's 6 residents have indicated. I think the order is 1 Liz Mitchell, 2 Alex Oakes, 3 Catherine Yates, 4 Simon Laycock, 5 gentleman Rob, sort of whose name I will probably mispronounce, so I won't offend you by mispronouncing it. 6 Helen Miller. What I propose is that you combine questions and comments into a 3-minute slot, and Herman will let you know when there are 30 seconds left and also when your time is up, if you would like to proceed to the microphone again. Thank you. And we'll listen to all, Ms. Mitchell, we'll listen to all your questions and comments, and one after the other, and then officers will respond as to all 6 of you at the end of that. I promise the floor is yours now.
Good evening again, councillors. We've been coming to these meetings now for over 2 years and attended over 23 meetings, which is more than some of you who are newer councillors. We've been asking for mitigations on our roads to reduce traffic and deal with that through traffic. And now we have Annex 5. Underwhelming is the best word I can use to describe Annex 5. I don't see anything in Annex 5 that will actually do anything to address the through traffic and the through traffic issues we have. This is a known and acknowledged and evidenced by data collected since November 2021 issue that we have. Yet this committee and RBK have again failed to do anything about it. In fact, over the last 2.5 years, you've done nothing to make our roads healthier. You talk about taking the healthy streets approach. If you got rid of the through traffic, we'd have healthy streets in the Tolworth ward. It's pretty simple. The data shows that we have a 65% through traffic issue, and the data's there, you've got it, several years worth. 2.5 years later, we're still here, and we're still dealing with unhealthy streets, with pollution, with unsociable behaviour, with speeding cars, with coaches and trucks coming down our road. Your report says, Annex 5 of the report is be implemented in order to enhance and encourage more walking and cycling in the area. How will anything in Annex 5 enhance and encourage more walking and cycling when we have high levels of through traffic? How will raised entry treatments at junctions address through traffic? How will more SIDS reduce through traffic? How will slow, painted on the road, but you probably only see the L and the O because the road's so narrow and parked cars. How will slow signs reduce through traffic? Why won't you listen to local residents who have better ideas than these? You say you're going to set up these monitoring devices, great, but you're going to give it 12 months. So in 12 months, is that just an excuse to do nothing for another 12 months? You've got 5 rounds of strip data and O&D, and nothing's happened. You contradict yourself and say you want healthy streets. You say you are using the indicators, but you're not. The benchmarks themselves are flawed. How are we going to get healthy streets when you won't do anything to attack the root cause of the problem, which is through traffic? Get rid of the through traffic and you have healthy streets. It's simple. Progress with ANPR and do something and do it quickly. Thank you.
Ask you to conclude. Alex Oakes is the second name on the agenda. I see he's not here.
Not here tonight.
So do we move then to number 3, Catherine Yates.
Thank you. I guess for me, I'm a fairly new entrant to this conversation, even though it's been close to my heart because I'm a resident of Tolworth Road, and we've lived there for over 20 years now. It's the first time we've ever really expressed a desire to move. I speak on behalf of other neighbours who don't feel confident to come forward, though they have very strong opinions and they want those voices heard. I think neighbours and myself and my family feel really exhausted about this process. We felt experimented on when the bollard went in. We were disappointed when it was removed, and how that process took place was quite uncomfortable for me. And I questioned the accountability and the responsibilities taken around making those decisions in a transparent and honest way. And since then, we've really tried to engage and enable that we could have some real solutions put in place that will really reduce the through traffic and the rat running that we experience every day. And therefore, I guess my disappointment is the measures that came forward, nobody ever wanted. We don't need a pedestrian crossing in Tolworth Road. No one ever wanted it, and it appeared to be something that was going to be totally unhelpful to our cause. And all you're doing is by even suggesting that is by saying that we have a dangerous road that you have to put a pedestrian crossing in because it's too unsafe to cross safely without one being there. So I'm pleased that that's not going forward. What I would like to see is some real measures that make a difference to our lives and to other residents around, so it doesn't become an exhausting process where we feel really that our voices are not being heard, our opinions are not valued, and that we really need a proper solution. Writing slow on the road will not do anything for us. The road's not big enough for actually take the word slow anyway. We need proper, real solutions. And I'm prepared to work like other neighbours to make sure this happens, and therefore we will continue to attend until we get the measures that we need to make our lives and roads safer and healthier, and to attract people to come and live in our roads. Thank you.
Simon Aycock is next.
Thank you, Chair. Will the committee ask the Highways team here present tonight, as a matter of urgency, to design a safe configuration of the Thornhill Road, Fuller's Way North, Red Lion Road mini roundabout? The additional materials published yesterday did not include any proposals for this junction. This junction is the most hazardous one in Thornhill Road, as well as being the busiest. Hundreds of pedestrians cross here every day, including dozens of school children, many catching or alighting from the K1 bus. Even with the help of one traffic island, visibility is poor and the road layout allows drivers to pass through at high speeds. As many of the drivers are rat runners, as we well know, their main preoccupation is getting through as quickly as possible, and they do not care about the well-being of pedestrians. Thank you.
Not an easy name to pronounce, is it?
I apologise. I'm appallingly
That's
bad.
okay.
You shouldn't try to cover for me.
If it is too difficult, you can call me Heineken. It's probably not the best beer in the world, but more recognisable than my name.
Thank you for your generosity.
Good evening. I live on Thornhill Road with my family for some 3 years now. When we arrived, we were immediately confronted with the traffic problems, including damage on the car, because, as we all know, the streets are too small. We understand, however, that the council was previously acknowledged that there was a true traffic problem in Thornhill Road, and some potential solutions were on the table, including a bus gate and others. So, as you can imagine, we had some hope when we started to live here. I'm pleased that the council has continued to confirm that the rat running problem in our street still exists. However, 3 years have gone and not much has happened. Okay, we have smileys and we almost had zebras, but these no doubt well-intended measures are not effective against the traffic issue we have, as you heard from others as well. So we have to be careful not to spend money while the solution is still absent. So this therefore begs the question how effective this council is. I guess you all want to sit here to make it happen. But apparently it doesn't work for Thornhill Road. Why is that? Are you satisfied with how the issue is handled or not? Forgive me about my skepticism, but I have unfortunately witnessed quite a lot of underwhelming meetings and proposals to this point. So could I challenge the council to do better and come up with real solutions against the red running so that we may have hope again. Thank you.
Helen Miller. I think you've submitted a written question, but would you like to come and read it out? Would officers like to be the first to respond to some of the points which were raised by the four speakers?
Thank you, Chair. I think the point has been raised. I'm not going to say some of it is not right. It's absolutely right. There is a through traffic, and I cannot deny that. But find the solution for the through traffic. It's not only for Thornhill Road. You have to think about all the other road. You can't just find a solution for Thornhill Road. What's going to happen to Tolworth Road? What's going to happen to Ellerton Road? What's going to happen to Douglas Road? So whatever we need to come, any solution we are trying to find, it need to address all these roads together. I cannot come up with one scheme. If I can, I wish. I've done it ages ago. But it's not. So therefore, it's very difficult for us. We recognize the problem, and we are trying to find some aspect which disencourage people to use Thornhill, disencourage them to use Tolworth Road. And the zebra crossing, the one the resident refused, it has been suggested because we received a complaint from Thornhill and told us about speeding. And as currently we don't put any traffic calming measures, so we suggested to put zebra crossing. This will play a role, will reduce the through traffic, and will hope that will disencourage people because they have to wait to go through your road of Thornhill or Tolworth. So it may disencourage people. So finding a solution, I fully understand the resident frustration, but it is something, if we want to find, it cannot be found only for Thornhill. And all of us know the solution for that is got to replace all the area together in order to find a pragmatic solution to all the area. Because I can't come and say, okay, let me close Thornhill, so where the traffic is going to go. Then we're going to have the other resident coming and complaining to us. Unless we can find a holistic approach to address all these roads, we have a problem. And I think, let's be frank, the problem we have at the moment is the traffic coming from the A34 to Fulwood Way. And that it is really our biggest problem. And we still working with TfL in order to find or to address this issue, because we believe this is the solution to our problem, which is to go with that point. And that is really, if I can answer that question, it's about most of the question is really related to the same point, which about finding a solution. And Annex 5, yes, Annex 5, I'm not saying it's going to remove the through traffic. I'm saying it's going to reduce the speed for the people entering the junction. And if you know that the junction of Thornhill is quite wide. Thornhill itself, it has two parts. One section is very wide and one section very narrow. So the top of it is wide section of Thornhill, which people of coming from Hook Road, during when we closed Tolworth Road, they become accustomed to it, but they found it easier to use because there is a half of it is wide and the other half is narrow. So they can negotiate it better. But in Tolworth, all of it narrow, so we will decide not to go to Tolworth. It's better to go. And unfortunately, that's people's behaviors, and we can't just control them. So the other question about the zebra crossing, yes, unfortunately, I'm very disappointed as an officer. There was no support to the zebra crossing by Douglas Road in order to assist the kids going to Douglas Road school, because I receive a lot of requests from parents. Their kids can't cross at that point. So the point from the zebra crossing, maybe we're going to lose a couple of parking, but there is a benefit. Think about the benefit what's going to happen. You're talking about the healthy street. A healthy street, yes. telling me about remove through traffic, but in the same time, don't tell me to through the traffic to other road. Because if I have to look to Healthy Street, I have to understand the impact from the Healthy Street, from Street A and Street B. Unless both of them can be balanced, I cannot call that Healthy Street. That means I'm displacing the problem from A to B. So the Healthy Street is got to be by all the area, all the road together, not only one road. So we look to the pedestrian, we look to the crossing, and the zebra crossing come along because we felt we want to, the Healthy Street said there is no safe crossing there. So we suggested some sort of zebra crossing in order to improve crossing. That is some of the proposal we put forward. And about the mini roundabout, yes, it is something I have to accept to Simon. It is on the list, but I didn't put it in Annex 5 because this is got to be dealt with in its own because it needs consultation. The scheme what we have in Annex 5, it's a scheme, doesn't need consultation, and I'm gonna go straight for implementation. The mini roundabout, we met, we talked about the changes, and we need to do more work about it, and it is in our list, and we have money next year for Tolworth area, so hopefully we're gonna cover it with next year budget for the mini roundabout. And finally, I can say the council working everything they can, and I'm really sorry if the residents feel the council and the members, they are not working in order to find solution. The members are trying to find solution, but you need to understand the member present all the residents of this neighborhood. They don't present only one road. So they need to make sure to balance whatever they're doing, how others gonna impact it on in order to make that decision. Thank you, Chair.
I now move from the Chair's recommendations on the front of the report on page A1, the 5 resolutions that members will see. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Thailand. Would members of the committee wish to speak? Please raise your hand. Councillor Thailand first.
Yeah, thank you, Eunice, for your explanation and the comments about what can be done, what can't be done. These proposals, I seconded it because we can make changes. The recommendation 4 say that councillors discussing with officers and the chair can make changes. At the moment, we are discussing what can be done, so that's why secondly that we're going to talk to you and come up with something which will be meaning for the whole area. As you said, the funding had to be used by the end of March because of the TFL funding, so that's why you have come up with the measures. But overall, long term, we need to look at some measures to reduce through traffic. That's something which we need to work on. We are aware of it. I mean, even it came up during our survey of the Tolworth Road and Thornhill Road. The residents were very disappointed, but we haven't done anything. Obviously, they were not happy about the zebra crossing. But we need to come up with some measures which we had to work on. We'll have to find some funding as well. A lot of people propose ANPR, but I know that had to be discussed with TFL. So, as you said, we'll have to find a solution which works for the whole area. Thank you.
Councillor Wooldridge.
Forgive me, Eunice and Chair. I was putting my hearing aids in, and but you did say you're going to consult with us and the ward councillors on this. Someone did.
Yes, Eunice, if you'd like to respond.
I think, Chair, in the recommendation, if we are moving from Annex 5, what we have in Annex 5, in discussion, delegated power will be given to the Assistant Director working with the Chair, Vice Chair, or Ward members on what we want to do and implement at that location, in this area, subject we don't do any consultation.
Okay, you'd like to carry on, that's fine.
Thank you for the clarification. It may well be in the papers, so that's a yes then. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councillor Manders.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yes, well, I'm speaking as a portfolio holder that covers sustainable transport in the borough. I have to say that I am disappointed that the opportunity to put in some safety measures has been rejected by many people who live in the area. I've been a councillor now for 17 years and total in 2 periods, and this is the first time, Chair, that I've ever come across a community rejecting the opportunity to have zebra crossings. However, one has to accept that's what the result of the consultation is, and that's the decision that's going to stand. But I mean, I do hope that it wasn't done on some kind of tactical basis, that people thought they could hold out for something better. In the end, we are where we are. We are where we are, and it's going to be a while before we get Transport for London back into a discussion about what to do about the traffic off the A3. They want to see the results of the alteration, the major alteration, which hopefully finishes this month at Tolworth roundabout. They want to see how that settles down, and they also want to see what the results are of the traffic build-up resulting from Signal Park. And clearly residents are only just moving into that development. So it will be a while before we can engage them again in some kind of discussion about this. So in the meantime, this is what we've got, essentially. So I do hope that the ward councillors and the officers can go away and find some worthwhile things that can be done with the money. I think the view of everyone is that we don't want the money to be refused coming in from outside. It also gives a very bad signal, I think, as well to TfL. So I'm hoping that I know with the goodwill of the ward councillors and the officers that something can be done very, very rapidly on that. Thank you, Chair.
Does anybody else wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Holt.
Thank you. I just wanted to, having listened to the residents, obviously they're, and they've already said that they're not keen to progress with the things that have been suggested. I think it probably is, delegation to the ward councillors, but is fine with me, and the chair and a portfolio holder. I probably would just be speaking on behalf of Surbiton Hill to say that part of this ward and part of this area is ours, and particularly the first improvement measure would be impacting on Surbiton Hill, so I just wanted to be part of that. And the only thing I might say on that is I don't know whether officers have checked to make sure about the buses turning in the corner, and that was the only, probably the only question I have of officers on it.
Would Eunice like to respond about the We can see the piece of paper, but...
okay, Chair. I'm fully aware of some of members' concern, but I can assure you I'm not going to suggest to put entry treatment for a bus route, and buses, they can't do the turning. So, yes, I've done tracking, and I brought it with me in case member would like to see a copy of it.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Can I take that we're happy with the recommendation? Agreed? Agreed? Yeah, yep, fine.
Sorry, I'm not disagreeing with the recommendation. Can we just, obviously it's in consultation with yourself and the ward councillors, could we just, I'm not suggesting bring back to a committee either, could we have that information on how this gets implemented? Because obviously we do know Tolworth better than some areas of the borough, and we all take an interest in it. So if we can just have that information emailed to us after some of those discussions, Yeah, is that okay, Chair?
I'm happy for sort of, as one of the people involved in the delegation, to report back. I can ask the clerk whether we need to formalise how we report back at this stage, or can we just agree that we'll just agree that we're going to report back, and the method to be determined as circumstances.
Chair, can I come in?
Yep.
Thank you, Chair. I did recall that we have a similar instance in the past that when the Chair got an update on any officer's decision being made, then the Chair could be able to announce it at the beginning of the verbal update to all members, and that will be transparent to all residents as well. So I would suggest it could be a way forward when the officers have updated to the Chair, and then the Chair can do so.
Yeah, Eunice, would you like to?
Chair, can I make clarification for everybody and myself? There is Annex 5 as a late material has been passed to you. Is members now approving Annex 5, or you are saying this Annex 5, it may change in discussion with delegated power is given? If that is that, then you need to put that in the recommendation, and that need to be voted on.
I think the wording I see on page A1, yes, I think sort of covers the points more or less.
Chair, yes, I'm just agreeing with you. I mean, what the recommendation says is that the list of minor improvements, Annex Item 5, be approved. However, it says in point 4 of the recommendations that authority be delegated to make changes to the list as required. Yes, in consultation with the ward councillors and agreement with the Assistant Director of Highways. So I would have thought that covers everything that we intend to do as a committee.
Yeah, Councillor Woodridge and then Councillor Thailand. I think I saw Councillor Woodridge just second before Councillor Thailand. Yeah, sorry, that was my understanding. That's why I seconded it, that the ward councillors can make changes. Thank you. Councillor Woodridge.
And thanks to Councillor Green for her superior understanding of process. Thank you very much with regard to the evaluation of this. Thank you.
Chair, I've been listening, and the way things are going, I can understand it. All I wanted to clarify is we are delegating, and on the final things on the recommendation, it doesn't involve the portfolio holder Ian Mander's name. Can't you please check that one and give me that indication? It's not there.
Chair, my name's not in there.
The position is not in there.
No.
It's not there. Chair, Vice Chair, and the relevant ward members.
The relevant ward members are certainly in...
which I understand it, yeah. But you suggested, because we are very pleased to have our portfolio holder for the traffic and transport is a bit of a difficult one, because we've been listening. Money and TfL traffic for London. And so I wanted that name there, please.
Okay, so I'm taking that as an amendment proposed by yourself.
Please.
And I think I know there's self-interest there, but I'm taking it happy for you to...
that's okay.
You're happy to second it.
Well, if that's what the committee wants, I mean, I have to say that the officers report to me, so I will be aware of the process. And there is a discussion between me and the officers. So I am there, even if I'm not named. But if you wish to name me, Chair, then I'm very happy to do so. Thank you.
So sorry. I didn't mean to create difficulties because of the way the sensitiveness. I think we've been hearing. It's going on for 2.5 years. It doesn't matter who it is. The ward members and you and the chairs will talk about it and then make sure, as Liz Green said, we certainly would like to hear what is the progress and how it is going. That's all I am saying. I can't pass any more things because I am part of the Surbiton St. Mark's and Surbiton Hill, but I do know your area very well indeed. I've been in this part of the world 60 years. So it's not a joy. I know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm glad, you people come here and express your views, and the views are good, but I haven't really asked you what is your proposal to close the whole damn road. And that's why the officer said we have to work together, inclusive of all the roads. So I will leave you in peace. If you can amend that one, Chair, I
So
would be very,
it's
very grateful.
been proposed by your good self and seconded by Councillor Manders. Do I take it the amendment is agreed? Yes. And then we agree the main motion as amended? Agreed. Thank you. So that's agreed. And we now move to item 6, Browns Road Area Parking Permit, PPA Review. That's agenda item 6 on Appendix B of the agenda pack. Again, I would follow the same format that I did on the previous item, that I'm asking the officers, Alan Whiting, Team Manager, Engagement and Commissioning, and Yunus Hamid, Principal Engineer, to introduce the report. And then I'll ask the residents to come and ask questions and comments. So, officers first.
Thank you, Chair. This report in front of you, it is a review of the existing parking permit area in Browns Road area. It has been over a year since the implementation of the scheme. And we usually, after we introduce a parking scheme, we review it in order to see if the time or the hours, or have we met the need of the resident in this area or not. Therefore, we send a consultation letter to the resident in Browns Road area, and then we analyze the result received, and the result, what we have in front of us, Councillor, we have received only 41 resident responses, which is about 13%. So it's not a high level, but it is something we can base this system on. So currently we have an existing parking restriction as a parking permit area between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we ask the resident if they are happy with the scheme, or do they like to see any changes to the scheme. It seems 19% are happy with the scheme, and to my surprise as well, unhappy is 22, about 54%. However, when we ask a resident to tell us about what they want, do they want to leave the scheme as it is? 61% said yes. Extend the days only, 0. Extend the hours only, we have a 7%. Extend both days and hours, we have 13, we have 32%. Based on the result we have in front of us, which it shows 61% of the responses received telling us they don't want to see any changes. Hence, I'm asking members to approve, which is to leave the scheme as it is without any changes to the restriction. I'm happy to take any question, Chair.
So I've got two residents who indicated they wish to speak, Josephine Lawrence and Tony Viva. Now's the chance for you to come and give your questions and comments, which, as I did on the previous item, 3 minutes, and Herman next to me will let you know when there are 30 seconds left and also when time is up. And it sounds as if you're going to easily do it within the 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll wait for for both contributions before the officers respond.
Yeah. It's Tony Viva from Browns Road Garage. Obviously, I can't even begin to explain what's going to happen to me should you change the scheme to the duration of the whole day. I mean, I just wouldn't be able to function. I would literally just close my doors. That's how it's going to impact me. I'm assuming that because you've had such low numbers on the consultation, that the people that aren't, even contacting or writing in, I'm assuming they're not really interested in any changes anyway. So I'm assuming it's going to stay the same. And I'd like to say that I have noticed a huge difference on Browns Road, and I honestly don't see a problem anymore. I'm there every day, and I can see what's going on, and the impact that the parking, it has literally worked. Unfortunately, at the top of Browns Road, it's very busy purely because there's more residents than permits, and extending the hours isn't going to change that. That's how I feel personally anyway. So, but assuming that you're not going to do anything about it anyway. But the other thing is that this is like a cloud over me, and it has been ever since it started from the very beginning, about 6-7 years ago. And I'd like to know whether this is going to now continue wasting money on consultations for the next however many years until whoever wants it gets it implemented. That's the only question I have. Is it going to keep going?
Thank you.
I
So
think
the officer will respond to questions, but I also have, is Josephine Lawrence, if you'd like to come forward and...
Hi, sorry, I've never done this before, so if I get it wrong, I apologise.
There's nothing to feel scared about. The only thing
No, you all look
you
quite
don't have to worry
scary,
about
so.
you don't have to worry about the timings because my colleague will sort of tell you about the timings.
Okay,
and,
no worries at all. So 311 residents were sent consultation letters in the DG parking zone. I estimate that around 50% of the properties consulted have either their own driveways, large resident car parks, or designating parking spaces, so are unaffected by parking in the area. The owners of 13 to 24 Warwick Grove are experiencing an ever-growing problem of non-residents using parking outside our properties, either side of the current 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. parking restrictions, and the weekends are a nightmare. South Place turns directly off Yule Road, as does Browns Road. Yule Road has ample parking, which can be used for free for 30 minutes or can be paid for up to 2 hours between 8 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Monday to Saturday. The roads that run off Yule Road on the opposite side have the same parking restrictions and paid for options. South Place, Warwick Grove and the Yule Road end of Browns Road are permanently congested outside of the 3 restricted hours. Everyone in the area knows that they can either pay for parking on Yule Road or simply come onto our roads and park for free. It is making it unbearable to live on. We have very separate issues on our roads than the rest of the DG area. They are not comparable. Adding to the problem on Warwick Grove is the opening of the dementia home and the building of the South Place apartments. The dementia home entrance has taken away approximately 6 resident street parking. South Place apartments, their underground parking entrance is also on Warwick Grove. That's taken out another 2 to 3 spaces. And lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago, a new dropped curb was put in on Warwick Grove to give the apartments access to their bins, which has now taken out another 2 parking spaces. We are a very small road. South Place Apartments has finally, after 3 years of complete misery to the residents, been nearly completed. It's a development of 49 apartments with underground parking for only 20 cars. That means that 29 apartments and potentially 29 cars, if only one apartment has a car, are going to all need somewhere to park. There's no room for them to park on site. In your review, it noted that Warwick Grove registered a high percentage of support to extend restricted hours and that numerous emails were received to highlight the need of the extension of the restrictions in light of the developments on Warwick Grove. But then it goes on to say that overall there is insufficient support to make any changes, even though the residents of Warwick Grove are completely miserable with the situation. Due to it might have an impact on other roads. The proposal is that on the opposite side of your road, it's Zone T, and the restrictions are 8 till 6:30. All the infrastructure is already in place. You have the signage, you have Ringo app set up. And why can't that simply be extended onto South Place? It could create revenue for the council with additional paid-for parking spaces for visitors. And just on a side note, we found out on the way to this meeting tonight, there's new proposals for a cycle lane extension on your road, which is going to take out 9 parking spaces for visitors to parking. So where are those people going to park?
I think we raised enough questions, and I think you've got all your
sorry,
points.
there's a lot to say. We're very
thank
angry.
You. I think we've sort of got the gist of...
All right,
sort of
lovely.
all
Thanks, guys.
So the officers would like to respond to the 2 residents' remarks and
Thank you,
questions.
Chair. Regarding the first question from Tony, as you can see, the recommendation is to keep things as it is. However, you ask, is that going to keep coming? The answer to that is, after this resolution, I don't expect it to keep coming till if we receive petition from the residents who live in the area, they saying they want change to be done. We usually introduce the CPZ or the parking scheme and we review it after a year or to find out if it meets the need of our resident. Then after that, we leave it. So unless the resident felt after that there is a change in the situation and they want something to be done, they bring petition to this committee, then you can't start the things again. Regarding Warwick Grove and Warwick Road, I think I fully understand the point has been made, but when we look into any scheme, we don't look into the road itself, we look to the area, because Browns Road area, it doesn't mean if you don't have a space outside your property, you can't park anywhere else. So you have to have a look to the whole area. So therefore, the recommendation currently is not to do anything at this stage and leave it as it is, because we felt there is some reserve capacity in the area which will support that. So therefore, the recommendation stand on that ground. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I'll now formally move from the chair the recommendation on the front of the report on page B1, which is, you will see, has 3 resolutions. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Green, thank you. Would members of the committee wish to speak? Please raise their hands. So, Councillor Holtz. Yep.
I suppose it's maybe some comments and questions. Is that all right, Chair?
I'm happy to do both together.
Okay, that's fine, thanks. My first thing would be to say I'm really pleased to hear that the current system is working, because I know that you came initially when the garage was going to have a huge impact. So I'm pleased to hear that it's not had as significant an impact as you expected when this was first brought in. So that is a positive. So that was good to hear, and thank you for coming back to tell us that. I can see from the results that there's been patchy responses to this consultation. So it's difficult to get some sense of why people have not responded or not. But given what's been said and what has been highlighted about Warwick Grove, I do think it's something I'd quite like if officers could get some further data about the use of the area, the parking that's happening, to see what the scale of it, to prove or disprove. I'm not going to say that what you're saying isn't true, but I think I probably would like to see data surrounding it on the basis that we would have to do it for the whole area. We can't just highlight, what I'm hearing anyway, is that we can't single out Warwick Grove for different treatment, because that would just be one road. So I think that was my thoughts about it, because I do agree with you. We've looked at the paper for the impact on Yule Road. There's going to be reduction in the number of parking spaces, and some of that's going to be accommodated in Browns Road and Langley Road. So there will be an impact of that. So for that reason, I'd quite like for us to perhaps defer this decision until we've got some more data to prove or disprove what the parking is like on the area, and in particular Warwick Grove.
So you're moving an amendment. Do I have a seconder for the amendment? I think Councillor Khan got caught my eye just before there was a photo finish. Does anybody wish to speak to the amendment?
So this is a deferral. Just to clarify, this is a deferral.
Would you like to read your amendment?
I'm actually just deferring it so that officers can go away and collect some more data and bring it back at a future date.
Okay. Yeah, is that sufficient for you?
Oh, yeah, clear, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shaper, you'd like to speak?
It was just really briefly, just to follow on from Councillor Holt, that whether we've used beat surveys before quite effectively to find out what's going on, and I think it wouldn't be hopefully too resource intensive to say, to get some further data, particularly on Warwick Grove. And I absolutely do understand, because it was originally in, obviously Berrylands ward, so felt quite close to what was going on in that area for quite some time, and I absolutely do see it quite often, that you get the double parking there, and it's really tight, and lines of sight are often a little bit blocked with cars parked there. So it's a fairly unique position between the flats that are finally being built and the Surbiton Gardens. It's a tricky area around that square. So yeah, I would just want to lend that amendment my support. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Green.
Thanks. I'm going to disagree. Now, it's not my ward, and it's never been my ward. And the reason I disagree, so I've introduced with Yogan, we were both around for all of the controlled parking zones that got introduced in St Mark's ward coming on for 20 years ago, some of the first ones. And there were certainly issues where we would have one road, and I'm not going to name it here and now, but it was one road in our ward that definitely did not want a controlled parking zone. Absolutely. The data was clear. We went out to consultation 3 times in the area to make sure, and in the end we had to decide to include them with the same hours as everybody else, even though they really didn't want it, that one road at all. But we decided we couldn't give that one road a different hours, and we also couldn't enforce the other hours on everybody else in the area, because it seemed wrong to enforce it on everybody else. And if you alter the hours too much in a tight area, actually what you do is confuse a lot of people, because, you know, I mean, I never thought the PPA would work at all, I'll be honest with you. Control parking zones, yes, but PPAs without the markings on the road, I think, is much more difficult for people to know what the rules are there. So I think that it may well come back that Warwick Grove still has a problem. I don't know. I'm not... I trust you. I believe you live there. You know whether it's got a problem. What I'm saying is, even if we get the data that shows the problem in Warwick Grove, I don't think you can enforce those times on the wider area, and I don't think you can single out one road against that. You can disagree with me. That's absolutely fine. But no, hang on.
Sorry.
This
is a meeting in public. It's not a public meeting.
And you are welcome to disagree with me. I'm talking about my experience from elsewhere in Surbiton, and that is we ended up in the same position after 3 consultations in a particular part of the ward, and we still ended up where we started off. So that's the reason I don't think it's worth deferring. I think deferring will give you false hope that we would then implement separate hours for Warwick Grove or for the whole area, and that you still wouldn't end up with it. So I'm not going to vote to defer the item. I'm going to vote to make a decision today. But I am one person on this committee, and others may disagree.
I don't see anybody else wishing to speak. Councillor Hall, would you like to come back?
Yes, okay, I'll come back. I mean, I think Councillor Green makes some valid comments, and that's why I said that there's no guarantees of us doing the additional data that will either prove or disprove the situation, because at the end of, but what I was wanting to find out, because, you know, you've mentioned about South Place, well, they will not be able to get parking permits. I think that will have been decided under the planning application that they can't do it, but that doesn't stop them parking at the times that the PPA is not in place. So that is the issue. And then there's the impact of the cycleways and some other things going on, which was the reason why I'd quite like to get the data. And it would be data about the parking that's going on at different times so that we're making an informed decision, was really the reason for it. But it's not to give you any more hope, because I think what Councillor Green has said is a very valid comment. Because at the end of the day, you can, at the moment, you can still park somewhere else. You have a permit and you can park on some of the other roads. If you change where you are, then you will not be able to park on those other roads. So I think you have to be thinking about that as well. You know, that's the other side of this is too, that you will not be able to, if you take yourself out of that area and move into another one, which is further away, which might suit you, but there's going to be other people in your road that might not. And probably would go back to the fact that not everyone in your road responded. It was 9 out of the 23. So there's still quite a lot of people who may well feel that they're happy with the way it is. So I think that's why I would quite like to go with getting the additional data, just to give the additional assurance. But thank you for that comments.
No problems. Councillor Yogan.
I think I have listened to it. I think what Liz said is because this is our ward. We are well aware about, as I was saying earlier, we know this area. I've been in this area for 60 years, from the age 17 or 18. What is the biggest problem is, I do agree, because the roads are changing, bus lanes, cycle lanes, certainly. I think this is where the cars comes in as well. It's not us, because it's the theme. You know, ULEZ is coming, so many things coming into the equation. I think what the ward member, Alison Holt, is our deputy leader as well, suggested is the best way, so that you can take it and rethink about it and see what you can do. While I am saying it, I think you must be from Warwick Group, the way you have said it. I think on the basis of there are 23 residents. It appears only 9 of them responded.
Excuse me. I think that's an oratorical question.
Yes. One of the points what I'm saying is, I hope that it will give you some more things to think about it. By end of the day, the parking restriction is very essential, because there are businesses, as Tony was talking about it. When he arrived to us, we were highly worried because his business is going to go, but I'm glad you are doing very well, Tony.
This is not dialogue.
All I am saying is, I am agreeing with Alison Holt. She's a ward councillor and she's a deputy leader. She's been there for some time, and to take it away and have a look at it, and our engineers, our traffic engineers are well into it. We don't do anything because we don't like do anything. We do things in a proper manner. So on that basis, I will be supporting that for differing.
Councillor Mia, go on.
Yeah, so I just want to second Councillor Holt's position and the reason she's given. I think it is in our ward, and this is the first chance I've had to consider this, and I think if we get some more data, there can't be much harm in it, even if it's a limited data, given how long it comes back in. But it gives us the chance to consider the residents' concerns and see what possible answers there are to it. Thank you.
Does anybody wish to speak, or can we go to the amendment? Eunice, do you want to ask a question?
Chair, when you defer the item, I want you to be aware it's not going to be done for the next committee meeting. It's going to be to a future committee meeting, because I cannot guarantee when the survey will be done and when I'll be doing it. So I'm afraid it's got to be to a future committee meeting, not to the next committee meeting.
I don't think Councillor Holt sort of specified. The next committee meeting is in a week's time, and I think nobody in this committee would be that ambitious to suspect you to be able to do it in a week. I think we've left it sort of deliberately to be confirmed. Councillor Manders.
Yes, Chair, I can't support the amendment, mainly on this question of resources. I think many of the councillors know we are very short on staff at the moment in the Highways Department. 5 members of staff handed in their notice recently, and that has left us very depleted. So I think that, as it were, the committee requesting that additional resources are put into this without finding them from anywhere else, I think that does cause a problem. So for that reason, I can't support the amendment.
Councillor Shaper.
It was just a point of clarity whether it was just a possibility of having a beat survey in Warwick Grove and no other road, because it's the idea that you have the feedback already from the consultation on who wants it. So clearly, if you take out Warwick Grove, it's only Warwick Grove where you need to make an informed decision about how many cars are parking and when. So I wouldn't necessarily be looking at this comparatively with Browns Road or all the other roads, but I would want to specifically see, as an exercise, I'd want to see the difference or at times of day to see whether the anecdotal evidence that we've received from residents, whether we can verify that by the data from a beat survey. So I don't know how resource intensive that would be, and whether that is feasible going forward, that you would just need to have one set of data on a beat survey carried out. I don't know, you'd have to perhaps give advice on what an extent of a beat survey and what it would look like. But I can't see that being overly resource intensive. But if I could get a point of clarity on that, would be helpful.
But before I do that, can I ask Councillor Holt, who moved the amendment, whether that would meet the wishes of her amendment?
I'd quite like to come back, because I take on board your point, and I did initially think that myself, but I think we need to get a sense of what the situation, because you're allowed to park anywhere. If you've got a permit, you're allowed to park in that whole area. So I would probably want to know that there is parking, whilst it might not be in Warwick Grove, there's parking elsewhere. So I think it would need to be wider than just the one road. Yep. So I think, I'm not sure I've answered it, but also I don't know about the resources. Did speak to Highways in advance and asked about doing it. So I'm not sure about the resources thing, but I'll perhaps we can take that away.
Councillor Khan.
Yep, just to the point of resources raised by Councillor Manders, I do appreciate there's limited resources, but I think I'm just a bit concerned that if the premise upon which we make our decisions are down to limited resources, then I'm not sure if that's going to bode well for our residents who ultimately we're here for. So I think, hopefully those vacancies will be filled in due course, and I'd rather wait for the resources to be available in order for us to properly evaluate and look at it, rather than rush to a decision.
Eunice, you would...
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Mendes. You are absolutely right, because the park and beat survey, as Councillor Holt said, will not be only in one road, because the idea is to establish if you have any reserve capacity in the whole of the road. So that is the first exercise. Then if members want to see the outcome of this exercise, then after that they decided to go back and to do more work in order to change to the existing CPZ. That is more work for the officer as well in order to consider. So as members, they want to have this park and beat survey. Are they considering in the future may change the decision and extend or change what we have in front of us? Is that the purpose of this park and beat survey? So there is a possibility we say Yes, they may change it, because if they want to change it, then all of that is going to add work, traffic management order, cost, all of it is going to be, you have to bear in mind that. But as I said, in front of us from site visit, it shows there is a spare capacity, but if members want to see figures, that means I need to do the parking beat survey by consultant, then I need to bring you the report, then we need to see what's going to be the resolution based on that. So I guess there is more into just one parking beat survey involved here. Thank you.
So the amendment has been moved and seconded. I think we can go to the vote on those who support the amendment. So those in favour of the amendment?
I would need to take it carefully, sorry. We've got 6.
Those against? And finally, abstaining.
Okay.
So the result is 6
in favour,
2 against, 1 abstention. So the amendment carries.
So it is a procedural motion, so actually there's nothing to do. Did you just be deferred to? It's clear it will be deferred to a future meeting.
Yep, thank you very much. So we now move on to the next item. Which is urgent items authorised by the Chair, and I haven't authorised any items. So there being no further business, the meeting is now closed at 20:56. Thank everybody for being here tonight, and for those watching the live stream. Yes, please.